Happy spooks? Spooks? Hello, spooky hello.
Hello.
But a spooky hello.
Ooh, spooky.
Ooh. Hello, but if a ghost said it.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. I'm Luke, that's Shannon. What are we talking about today, Shannon? On this spooky time.
On this spooky time, in my favourite time of year.
Spoilers.
We're going to talk a little bit, just a little, about horror.
Whoa.
Horror is something that I really enjoy. If the people listening don't know, I am a little bit of a horror fan. I enjoy my horror. I have enjoyed my horror from a very young age. I am a bit of a morbid human. I like the morbid.
And I'm the exact opposite. I hate scary. I hate horror. Recently played Slender with Jordan for Caffeine Adult Games, and that was too much for me.
That's not scary.
That it was for me.
Okay, so we're both very different people on this spectrum, on the end of the spectrum. So I knew that this would be a fun thing to try and talk about a little bit, because you're very much going to be there going, well, that's what you're going to basically be doing. You're just going to be sitting there drinking your little hot chocolate while I have a little rant, right?
My little hot cocoa.
Let's talk about horror. To you, what is horror? For you personally, what is horror?
Like a mismatched. If someone's wearing like a grey suit with like a black belt and brown shoes, that's horrifying.
That's your version of horror. Okay, so if that was chasing you down the street, if someone...
I said what I said.
Right, so I'm going to talk about horror on more general terms of, for me, personally, horror is something that makes you question being human.
Okay, so like an existential horror.
Yes, that is my personal type of horror, right? That is something...
See, I don't find that scary.
But I deal with that every single day, and that is something that I find quite scary to think about, but enjoy thinking about as well at the same time. So it's something that conflicts me in both ways. So it kind of scares me, makes me feel uneasy, but also I can't get enough of it. You need to give me more of the existential dread. Do you know what I mean? Prophesizing and worrying about the world and what it is to be alive and who I am and what that is on a concept and all this kind of stuff is stuff that kind of, for me, I think can be best explored through horror as a genre. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you use horror to dampen your anxieties.
Basically to explore the fears of your anxieties and what makes you and human, but that's what I think horror is like allowed to do more than other genres, if that makes sense. Like, your rom-coms have to stay in a certain category, your superhero movies kind of have to stay in a certain category. Your horror in general, when you look at it, has probably the most subcategories of horror that it could have. Like, there's so many different types of horror and different things that make different people scared, and I think in horror movies as a whole, there is that much more bigger freedom to be able to like throw something at the wall and see what's going to stick, see what's going to actually be scary, and sometimes it works really, really well. Sometimes you get some amazing bits of like cinema or novels. Other times it doesn't work, but it still works. So you get like your really comedic like B movies that just were made for 50 pence and they're terrible, but at the same time you kind of love them because they're so terrible and because it was just something that it was a story someone was trying to tell.
Like Killer Sofa.
Yes, like Killer Sofa, exactly. Or Raptor Pasta, or Sharknado.
Is the Sharknado meant to be horror?
Sharknado's meant to be a horror.
Oh, I didn't know it was meant to be a horror.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many things that fall under the umbrella of horror that, compared to other genres, it's a lot harder to like pinpoint things into horror, but also it's a lot freer because you can just, different things scare different people. If it scares you, then there's a chance on the planet it might scare someone else, and it's worth taking a risk sometimes. You never know.
I imagine some people are scared of What We Do in the Shadows.
Some people will be.
Great series.
Go watch it. I'm telling you now. Everybody, go watch it. What We Do in the Shadows. It's so fun, and it's like the perfect thing as well, I think, for this little spooky season, because it's got those, it's about vampires, obviously, sharing a house. It's great. It's got that spookums, but it's also got big laughs, like mad laughs. So please go watch it. Laszlo is my absolute favourite. He's my boy. But yeah, so horror in general has been something that I've always gravitated to since like teenage years, I'd say. When I was younger, it was always a fascination with like the horror of history. So obviously your plagues and your Black Deaths and your big massacres and, the Book of the Dead, all the fun bits of history were the things that I was always drawn to. And then as a teen, Halloween. That then developed into loving horror in general.
See, I'd say I definitely have like a morbid curiosity, you know, like plague and horrible history things and all of that stuff. Like, I find that fascinating. I don't find it scary.
No, but it is technically the horror of humanity.
So you like horror?
I like horror, so I figured let's talk about some horror and some things that we've found particularly scary that we've seen or experienced in our lives. Do you have any like proper scary experiences that you've had or things that you've watched or anything that comes to mind other than Slender and Soma?
Literally any horror film. I remember so when I was a child, my parents put The Fog on, the original Fog. Was
that Wes Craven, The Fog?
I don't know. I've never watched it since for a reason.
I'm going to
quickly Google it. So when I was about 7 or 8, I think, and my parents will probably disagree, I was very young. They made me watch The Fog. They didn't make me. It was on TV. They were like, watch this film, because, you know, that's what you do as a kid. I was terrified for approximately 3 to 4 business years. I couldn't deal with fog or anything like that. It scared me. There was also another film I watched, and I can't remember what it is, and my mum reminds me of it all the time because I always ask, but there was flying nuns in it.
You've mentioned this to me before, with a bed that comes down.
I know. Yes. The bed that comes down and flying nuns.
I have no idea.
I'm too scared to Google flying nuns.
Just Google flying nuns. It'll be fine.
Film with flying nuns. Don't be there, don't be there. Okay, The Flying Nun was a TV show, as it turns out. Horror. It's horror, though. See, it's a 5-second scene, and it's the only thing that stays in my head. A film in castle with bed that drops.
Excuse this audience while we take a brief intermission to find said clip, because I also need to see this clip, so...
I don't know what it was.
Are you ringing Jordan?
I was trying to ring my mum, but her phone's dead. I'll see if Jordan knows, though.
You have 2 options. You can 50-50 or phone a friend. I choose to phone a friend.
Oh my gosh, it might have been The Haunting.
The Haunting?
I'm just thinking only because it looks like it's in a castle. Anyway, there was this film, and I don't remember it because it scared me so much. And there is a scene where nuns fly, and they fly into the window, and they're horrifying. And I can't remember. I watched it when I was a child with my mother. If anyone below knows the film, please tell me, and then Shannon will have to Google it, because I'm certainly not.
I'll watch it. I need to watch it. I need to observe.
Anyway, that was definitely scary for me. What is it? I watched Saw when I was about 13.
Did I make you watch Saw? Or did you choose to watch Saw? Because I loved Saw when I was younger.
I watched it at like a sleepover with a bunch of people, so you might have been there.
Yeah, probably.
I didn't find it scary. It wasn't scary to me, like all the bloody horror, gore and ever.
No. Yeah.
But however...
go on.
I didn't know a thing about Saw when the creepy little puppet guy showed up.
Billy the puppet! Phone's ringing.
Wait, maybe... Hello?
Is it Jordan?
Hello, sorry.
Hello.
Mum was on the phone to me.
You're live on Dude You... Mum was... I was just trying to call Mum.
Outtakes.
We're not live, are we?
Yeah, you're live. We're actually live. It's the first live stream of Dude You Good.
Yep. This is the first time we've ever live streamed. We've got 3 million people on the other end.
Breaking news.
Oh, dear. How can I help you?
Do you remember that film when I was a kid that had flying nuns in it?
Flying nuns?
That's what I said.
Mum made me watch it. There's a 4-poster bed. The top half falls on someone. There is a scene where he looks out the window and there's creepy flying nuns.
Bedknobs and broomsticks?
No, it's not bedknobs and broomsticks.
I don't know what you're on about. Flying? Are you sure?
Yes, I remembered it because it traumatized me, and every time I bring it up, Mum knows exactly what I'm talking about. Okay.
No, I think you're making this up. I don't remember.
No, Mum knows exactly what it is. Mum knows exactly what it is.
Oh, dear. All right, see you.
Great Foley work, though.
All this to find out the name of this movie with the flying nuns. Are you sure it wasn't a dream?
No, I'm sure she knows exactly what it is because she knows it scared me so much. So where were we? So there was that horrifying film.
That horrifying
that
film.
if I find out...
We'll watch together.
We certainly will not. What are the horror things? Basically, anything is kind of like I'm okay with gore and bloody horror. That's not scary to me. And I'm okay with existential dread.
You don't like atmospheric horror, right? Where you're in a situation and it's like building a...
I don't like building tension because I have an overactive imagination. So I picture things where playing Soma,
Yeah.
Jordan and I hyped it up way more than anything in the game could.
But it's interesting that you brought up The Fog, because obviously the Fog was actually done by John Carpenter, who is someone that's on my list as reasons why I adore horror. From when I was younger, I was very much the same, right? I watched Saw, loved it, not because it was like, ooh, gory, but it was the psychological horror of it. So, you know, like the games, the fact that he was on the floor the whole time, spoilers for this movie, I mean, it's like 20 years old, but whatever. Like that, the psychological...
That's when he like has a saw of his own hand, right?
Yes, he has to saw off his own foot. And then he's like crawling out of the bathroom, and then he leaves Adam to die. And essentially, all the time while Adam and Dr. Gordon's been like chained up in this bathroom, and it's been going over the story and all this, you know, there's like a body on the floor in the middle of them that neither of them can reach.
Yeah, Saw's on the floor, yeah.
And it's actually him. It turns out to actually be, you know, he just stands up at the end and he's just like, game over, and he slides the thing and he closes it. And that was like a mind-breaking moment for me. I enjoyed Saw very much because of the psychological aspect of it, and the traps were fun. They were fun. They were very gory, very inventive ways to kill people. I found them fun.
See, for me, it's kind of like, well, a bit, you know, like, do better.
But then you do better, because straight after, when I was introduced to Saw, I was made to watch Silence of the Lambs.
Okay, yeah, I've seen Silence of the Lambs.
And that's obviously a psychological horror.
Didn't find that scary either.
How? Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins' version of Hannibal Lecter, how he portrays the character, was terrifying. Like, to take it from book to film, he will never not be Hannibal for me. He is scary, and it's scary because obviously the character that they create in that has been heavily inspired by real life killers, like real life people that have done horrible things to people. And I think that's why it is quite scary when it comes to Silence of the Lambs, because it is kind of grounded in reality in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's not your demon that's haunting the house and possessing people. It's like, this is based off of real people, because at the end of the day, I think one of the biggest things that can be so horrifying is what people can do to each other. And that's kind of terrifying when you think about it.
I see where you're coming from, but it doesn't scare me.
Or Silence of the Lambs, and things that basically look into what a human's base instinct would be, or that human specifically, as an aspect of that horror, is more scary to me than your ghost stories or, you know, your supernatural killers like your Jasons and your Freddys from Nightmare on Elm Street, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that's where we differ, is for you, it's definitely like the huge, bigger, in-depth meaning. For me, it's like, ugh, puppet.
Basically, yeah. Like, that's what gets you scared. You see something like a puppet or a mask and you're like, ugh. I'm there like, oh God, this is making me question everything about being human right now. And that's what I enjoy. That's the horror that sits with me. I think one of the most interesting things about horror is especially horror movies. So movies are something that heavily ingrained. When I was introduced to horror, that was it. It was like a spiral, because then all I could do was find more things, and obviously the more you dig, the more there is. And suddenly there's just this overwhelming mountain. The mountain, again, is just like caving in, and it's just horror upon horror upon horror upon horror, because you've got so many different subgenres and so many different categories. And it's like, do you go for your traditional Hammer monster horror, which is like, you know, your Dracula, your werewolf, your Frankenstein, or do you go for more like supernatural, where you've got like demons and your ghosties and your spirits and an afterlife? And it's like, where do you want to go? Do you want to go slasher? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And as it expands, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it gets more and more strange.
I remember Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, when he drinks from the
chalice, from the Holy Grail,
from the chalice, and his face melts. Haunted me. Yeah.
Oh my God. Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know where they lift the ark and then there's one that has the exploding face, one that has the melty face, and one that sets on fire? That scared me.
That's what I'm thinking. Sorry, Raiders of the Lost Ark with the melty face.
The melty face.
I hate the melty face.
That's the one with the... No, not the Temple of Doom. The one with the Holy Grail in it, the third one. That's where the guy drinks from the Grail. and then he like turns into a skeleton, doesn't he? It's like super fast.
Yeah.
Like editing of, he's dying now, and it's like, yeah, he's dead.
Now, I do love some of the old classic horror.
I am a mad fan of classic horror. Classic horror is something that I really enjoy. Anything from, say, the 70s to the beginning of the 90s, I will try it. And 9 times out of 10, I enjoy it more. And I think the reason why I enjoy older horror a lot more than I do modern horror is because modern horror for me tends to concentrate on jump scares. You know, sudden loud noises, sudden scary pictures, blah, done. That's it. That's the horror. That's what you get. You get jump scares periodically, whereas older horror movies, they tend to try and focus more on, I mean, obviously you have your jump scares, but a lot of them tend to try and build more atmosphere. One of the main reasons I absolutely adore older horror movies is the fact that every single practical effect they have is made. They had to make it. There was no CGI. If you wanted something to do insane stuff in this movie, you had to find out a way to rig the thing, to do the thing, to get the shot. A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first scene where they had the room with the bed, what to do was they had to rig essentially a whole room that could turn upside down to like get the shot, and they could only do one take. It was that expensive of a take. They had to make this whole like room contraption that would like rotate so that they could use it as a set at one point with like people walking around the bedroom and stuff, and you know, it being a set. And then when they needed the shot, they could turn it and have blood just come pouring out of the bed and just kind of cascading onto what would be the ceiling and the walls and all that kind of stuff. But it was actually upside down, so they had to turn the room practically and pour all the, you know, like tip all this blood in it, and it was real, and then they had to clean it up, and it's like they had one shot, and it was just such a fun shot. It was the same with like The Shining, you know, with the elevators where they open. But imagine the cleanup.
Yeah, you'd need a few mop buckets.
A few mop buckets. But back onto the practical effects, and back onto John Carpenter, The Thing. Have you seen The Thing?
Yes.
Practical effects in The Thing still haunt my nightmares. But yet that movie, it builds tension so well. And I mean, John Carpenter does do that anyway, like how he writes and how the camera is kind of used does build the anxiety of dread, unanswered questions. I mean, The Thing literally ends with an unanswered question. You don't know if it's dead. It might be dead, but we don't know for sure that it's dead, because we don't know if the two guys that we end with, spoiler warning, if one of them's the Thing. It could be.
Spoiler warning, from the 70s.
From the 70s. Actually, The Thing was 1982.
Spoiler warning, from the 80s.
From the 80s, 40 years ago now. But spoiler warning, The Thing, amazing movie, and it just leaves you with those unnerved, unasked questions. And John Carpenter's very good at that. Like you said, The Fog terrified you when you were a kid. He was responsible for that. Halloween was probably the first thing that I believe he did, put his name on the map. And the original Halloween is scary. I think it's scary.
Do you remember, it's a nostalgia one, but do you remember the Halloween Disney film? Halloween Town, I think it was?
I remember Halloween Town.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, with the skeleton taxi driver and the huge pumpkin.
I'm pretty sure that was Halloween Town, but I don't remember it well. I remember Hocus Pocus more.
Hocus Pocus, love that. Psychological horror, right?
Yeah.
You have, I don't know if it's psychological horror because I haven't read them or seen them, but I know you own them. Uzumaki, the mangas?
You're on about Junji Ito.
Yeah.
His manga, I was going to speak about him.
Ah, sorry, cut ahead.
That is a type of horror that I really, really enjoy. And his Uzumaki's probably my favourite. Like, obviously, you know, I've got the collection. I've got everything so far that's been translated into English, I believe. But Uzumaki is phenomenal. It's a story essentially about a small town in Japan that they all kind of become possessed by the spiral. It's weird. The concept of it is really strange. When you think about it, it's like, yeah, spiral just keeps going and going again. And it is an infinite thing. The whole town, spoilers, by the end, everything's just chaos, and there's a lot of body horror as well in Junji Ito's stuff, which is something I really like. I enjoy body horror when it comes to humans kind of being morphed and, you know, Cronenberged into these horrific kind of masses and messes. And like, because I love manga. Manga is something I've read for like decades now. And I only got Junji Ito recently, within the past 10 years. But the detail in every single panel, you look at the story and it makes you feel queasy. Like, I remember there's a short that I think is in the back of the Shiva anthology, which is like loads of his short stories put together. And there's a story called the Arigawa Fault, I think it is. And basically, this story is about an earthquake that happened, and it caused part of a mountain to break off from the rest of the mountain. So there's like a sheer mountain face. And they're reporting about it on TV because for some reason they've noticed that in the side of the mountain there's these human-shaped holes that are just there. You know, they were buried underneath all that rock, but there's holes in the mountain. Basically what starts happening is while they're reporting on this weird finding that they found after this earthquake, people start getting drawn to the mountain. So they start going to the mountain to, one, look at it, because obviously, you know, big earthquake, weird holes in the side of a mountain, what's that about? But two, they are feeling drawn to the holes.
Ooh. Oh, and they go into them and then they stay there and become a mountain.
Some of them do. Some of them go into the holes. And it's never really fully explained, like, what the holes are. But basically, we're kind of following this one guy, the protagonist, and he's gone. And while he's camping at the side of the mountain, because, like, all the people that are there going to find their holes, they've, like, you know, they've gone in. And it's perfectly, you know, they take their clothes off, they just have their underwear off, arms out like that, and they just go in and they just vanish into the mountain and they don't really know where they're going. And the protagonist, while he's camping, has like a dream, I think, where he like sees like an ancient civilization like using it as a mode of like, I don't know, going over to the other side or something. I can't remember 100%, but at the end of the day, he wakes up, he finds his hole, he knows his hole, he knows it's his hole. Flash forward, right? They find the other end of the hole. So they find out where the hole's coming out of. Now basically, at the beginning of the hole, it's like a perfect body of them. It's like their silhouette, right? It's like their shadow. And they go and they keep going into the mountain. But obviously the more they go into the mountain, it gets to the other side of the hole and the hole's all like warped and like extended and weird. The rescue team's looking up in the hole and they just see a body just sliding down this hole that's like obviously being warped, like destroyed by the mountain. And it's like, it's hug me for me. It's just really uneasy, really weird. I think Ito kind of delves into cosmic horror quite a lot in a way of there isn't necessarily always an understanding as to why this horrible thing's happening, but this horrible thing's happening and you're going to go mad seeing it. And that's kind of what happens in the pages.
Kind of Lovecraftian horror.
Yes, like a horror bigger, something that is not explainable. A lot of the stuff is not explainable. Uzumaki is not necessarily, obviously it tries to explain itself by town being eventually built into a spiral. Anyway, but it is all very much things that we that we can't explain. Normal people in normal situations that then just go really, really weird.
Yeah, so very Lovecraftian then.
Very Lovecraftian, and that is like something that I find very interesting and very fun in horror.
Yeah, see, I agree with you there. Like, I find that stuff quite interesting because it's not just like a gimmick, you know, like
ooh, ghost, boo.
Saw and whatever. It's kind of like chop off your hand, you know? Stuff like that, I feel like you have to write and create a lot more of to make not compelling, but I just feel it has a lot more effort and ties to, and it's just a lot more interesting than, like, sure, okay, like Slender is scary. It scared me because I get jump scared easy and the creepy stuff is creepy.
Yeah, it's not actually scary though.
I think it's scary, whereas the stuff like that, like Uzumaki and sorry, what was the mountain one?
Arigawa Fault, I think it's called.
I wouldn't say it wouldn't be scary to me, it would be interesting to me.
Yes, but it's interesting because it's kind of like...
To me, that's a good story, you know?
Don't get me wrong, I'm not scared of it. I find it interesting, but it gives me that feeling of dread that I really enjoy. Like, not many people do, but I enjoy that kind of, that feeling of this is something that is scary. And even though I know that obviously I'm in a situation where it's like, I'm very grateful that I'm not scared, luckily. Like, there's nothing actually coming to try and get, I mean, you never know, but as far as I am aware, I'm not actually in danger. I'm not actually in threat. But reading about it or watching it or even listening to it, right? Because I absolutely adore a horror podcast.
You do adore a horror podcast.
I adore a horror podcast, and I think part of that is mainly give a shout out. I mean, I don't need to. They've got all the followers in the world, but like the No Sleep podcast has been a long favourite of mine. I listen every Sunday and it makes me very, very happy, even though many a time their stories have made me feel quite ill. It gives you that real uneasy feeling. And I think that partly comes from, obviously, amazing storytelling from the whole team over there, but as well, the fact that it's audio, you have to picture it, and that makes it scarier. So horror movies, once you've seen the big bad, you've seen the big bad, that's it. The scare's gone. Once you've seen the monster, once you've seen it, and you can put a face to it.
Like Cloverfield Monster.
Yes, exactly. So it instantly becomes not scary. If you don't show, if you keep it hidden, it will always be more terrifying because your brain will always make it worse. We'll always try and fill in the gaps. And that is why I adore a horror podcast, because cathartic in a way, I think. Allowing yourself to be scared of something, even though it's not a direct threat to you, it's still fun to enjoy that feeling and let that feeling out a little bit, I think.
Okay.
I think that's why I like horror so much. But yeah, like, I could talk all day about... It's like now I'm thinking about Dissolving Classroom. I can't even remember who that's by, but it's a manga. I feel like it might... No, Dissolving Classroom is Junji Disappearing?
Dissolving? Which one of us is Googling?
The Drifting Classroom. My mistake. The Drifting Classroom by Kazuo Umes. And it's basically about a whole school of elementary school kids, so juniors and under. The whole school just vanishes. So in their timeline, the school just goes. Parents are left there. They don't know where the school's gone, where the kids have gone. All that's left is like a crater, and the school essentially just winds up in like a desert. Obviously there's like things that end up being in the desert and mysteries to be told and all this kind of stuff. The horror aspect of it is the fact that suddenly all these children have to learn essentially how to build a society, because there's no adults. There's like one adult and he's the worst in the world and he's creepy and gets banished and all that, but kids having to learn about how to function as a society with no adults, having to understand when they're sick, what to do, how to get food, how to get water, how to get this, that, because they're in the middle of nowhere. They're in the middle of a desert in a school. We don't know what time it is. It could be 1,000,000 years before they were born. It could be 1,000,000 years after they were born. It could be on another planet. We don't know where the school is. The school's just been picked up and plonked somewhere, and they have no idea. And it's horrific because it's like, you know, there's like 5-year-olds that just can't deal with not having their mum around anymore. And like the kids have got to look after the kids. And it's like they don't know how to explain, because obviously they don't know what's going on. The story and how it makes you sit in these characters' experiences and kind of makes you question and think of that situation, especially when it comes to someone that's so innocent. Basically people allowing themselves to go on to base urges and base panics of the fact that, you know, there's no food, there's no this, there's no that. Very interesting story. Quite sad. But yeah, that kind of horror is something that I very much enjoy. Yeah, I really enjoy horror. Horror is great, and it's always better when it is spooky month, because obviously it's all dark, you put a candle and you get your drink and you put your movie on and you're just like, oh, yo, spook 'em though.
Whoa, so that's been the episode.
Whoa, I like horror. Go watch some horror.
Shannon likes horror.
Yeah.
I don't like horror.
No.
Nursery rhymes, played slow, immediately creepy.
Nursery rhymes played slow, immediately creepy.
I've been Luke, that's been Shannon.
Me, Shannon.
Stay tuned for a trailer. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We also have a YouTube gaming channel, Caffeine Adult Games. Here's a trailer. Oh no. It doesn't look inviting.
Can we all just agree this is the point in real life you just walk back out of the house? You'd literally be like, okay, we close the door, we go back to the front door, we get back to our car, and we drive away. This took us 23 minutes to realise Kate lost her mind.